Number 12. So we can connect words with no in the general possessive sense, but we can also connect words with no in a much broader sense than possession, much like how the no in kono, this, or kanojo, she, works, and it's really not about possession there. For example, a wooden table in Japanese would be wood, no, table. In fact, the en we put on wood in English, wooden, means of. Wooden is of wood. In Japanese, this idea is also expressed with no. So a wooden table in Japanese is mokusei no teburu. Teburu is another imported word. Teburu is what you get after making the word table sound more Japanese. Teburu.
Teburu.
Wooden table, mokusei no teburu. What do you think garasu no teburu might mean if garasu is also an imported word?
Right, it's a glass table.
Oh, well done. I wasn't sure if it sounded close enough.
Or grass. I went with glass.
Right, because it could be either, right, with the RL. Garasu. Good. So, garasu no teburu is a glass table, of course, using no to connect garasu and teburu. Garasu no teburu. Japanese imports many words from English. We've seen already biru, remonedo, no, lemonade, restaurant, basu for bus. And now we have teburu and garasu. This might seem a little strange at a certain point, no? Like, did the Japanese not have tables and glass before they had the English words? But of course they did. These imported words tend only to refer to Western versions or uses of these things. So like glass in windows, for example, is a very Western idea and technology. The Japanese traditionally used paper screens, no? So window glass is garasu in Japanese. So traditional Japanese tables and glass crafts are described with traditional Japanese words, and then Western style tables or glass are teburu and garasu. So rather than just importing new technologies and ideas and calling them by existing Japanese words, Japanese likes to keep track of what comes from where, and maintaining the word of origin helps it to do so. But of course, when Japanese imports words from English, it needs to make them acceptable to Japanese phonetics by obeying the consonant-vowel structure that Japanese words prefer. So something like glass becomes garasu. How do you think we might say hotel in Japanese, or at least in the Western sense of a hotel?
Hoteru.
Hoteru, good. So Western style hotel is hoteru, but then traditional Japanese inns have their own traditional names. Where is your boyfriend's hotel? Which can be used like, you know, the hotel they're staying at, just like in English. Where is your boyfriend's hotel? So think about the piece of information that comes first. Now, what's the piece of information that comes first?
Your boyfriend's hotel.
Bravo.
So, kareshi no hoteru wa doko desu ka?
Good. Kareshi no hoteru wa doko desu ka? Formally speaking, no? Otherwise just kareshi no hoteru doko. We will meet at the American hotel. We will meet at the American hotel. This is another structure we can make with no, just like a glass table. America is the same word in Japanese, so give it a try.
America. America no hoteru. Did you say we're going to meet?
Yeah, we will meet at the American hotel.
America no hoteru de aimasu.
Very good. America no hoteru de aimasu. And it might be harder for us to remember with these words that come in from English, that the R there, or the L on the R on American and the L on hotel are going to sound the same, sure. Somewhere between the R and the L. Yeah. America no hoteru de aimasu. So yeah, it's like we're saying America's hotel, no, rather than American hotel. America no hoteru. The informal version of aimasu is ao, simply ao. That's AU, but AU sounds a little bit like AW, ao.
Ao.
So the same sentence again, but informally, we will meet at the American hotel.
America no hoteru de ao.
Very good. America no hoteru de ao. A French restaurant would be a restaurant of France. A France restaurant. How might we say France in Japanese? We'll have to separate the F and the R.
Furansu.
Furansu. Furansu. Good. We'll meet at the French restaurant, still informally.
Furansu no restaurant de ao.
Good. Furansu no ristorante au. Do you speak some French?
No.
Oh, okay. You made restaurant.
Well, at school.
Yeah, because you made restaurant sound more French when you were saying French restaurant. And I was like,
Just in character.
you've learned some French before. We saw the Japanese word for car.
Kuruma.
Kuruma. Good. The Japanese are massive car manufacturers and have been pretty much since cars were invented. So it's natural that they use a Japanese word for car. Kuruma is a Japanese word, no? Even though cars didn't originate from Japan. So cars generally are kuruma and they're not treated as something foreign. But there are some imported uses of cars or things surrounding cars which we'll hear the word car for, like rental car in Japanese is renta-car.
Rent-a-car.
Or a car wash, which is car washu.
Car washu.
No? So you could say, where's the rental car?
Rent-a-car wa doko desu ka?
Good. Renta-car wa doko desu ka? Where is her rental car, including the information of her?
Kanajo no rent-a-car wa doko desu ka?
Good. Kanajo no renta-car wa doko desu ka? And ka has a long vowel. It's imitating the AR. No? Ka. Good. Kanajo no renta-car wa doko desu ka? But just, where is her car?
Kanajo no ka... Oh, no. Kanajo no kuruma wa doko desu ka?
Good. Kanajo no kuruma wa doko desu ka? Good. So just because we have a word like car, it doesn't mean we can use it anywhere. No. The loan words tend to be very contextual. No. So car for like rent-a-car, no, otherwise kuruma. So we've learned no for possession, but also for connecting things in a much broader way, like a French restaurant, furansu no restaurant. How would you say my friends will eat at the Arabian restaurant? Arabian means of Arabia, no?
Arabia de restaurant.
So first things to do, let me repeat the sentence.
Yeah.
My friends will eat at the Arabian restaurant. Let's do it formally. And your first thought, before Japanese, is how does the idea change shape in Japanese? Before you think about the Japanese words. Now, just focus on the idea, how that idea changes shape. So what comes first when you say, my friends will eat at the Arabian restaurant?
Well, I'm thinking of my friends.
You're correct.
Yeah.
So the first bit in both languages is the same in this case. So?
Tomodachi. What was the sentence again in English?
My friends will eat at the Arabian restaurant. So there's a lot of words there, but fewer concepts.
Yeah.
There's only 2 concepts left, really.
Yeah. Tomodachi wa Arabia restaurant de taberu.
And how do you connect a restaurant and Arabia?
Oh, I should have said Arabia no restaurant. Arabia no restaurant.
De
Aimasu or taberu.
or tabemasu formally. Tomodachi wa Arabia no restaurant de tabemasu. Good. My friends will eat something at the Arabian restaurant. So nani was what and something we found from that?
Nanika?
Good. So again, my friends will eat something at the Arabian restaurant. We need to think what comes first and then what comes next.
Right.
No? And allow all of our mental energy just to go on deciphering that bit. So my friends will eat something at the Arabian restaurant.
Tomodachi wa I could say Tomodachi wa Arabia no restaurant de nanika o tabemasu ka?
Wasn't a question, so we don't need the car. Yeah. So tomodachi wa Arabia no restaurant de nanika tabemasu or nanika o tabemasu. And so that's what we can call the most natural word order. But like I said, it's very flexible, the word order in Japanese. So some parts, they're going to sound emphatic when you move them. Other parts will only sound emphatic if you move them and also use your voice.
Right.
No? So again, it's something that we should be plugged into when we're using Japanese in context. That's the best way to learn, and to get a kind of subconscious feel also for, when we want to change the word order for different emphasis.
Yeah.
and also get a better feel when it doesn't matter when you change the word order.
Right, okay.
Which will help you produce live,
Yeah.
when you know, okay, it's not so important that I've changed the word order here as long as I'm not emphasizing with the voice.
Sure.
So you have a lot of flexibility in Japanese. The most key idea is that the verb's at the end.
Okay.
No? So we know everything involved with the situation before we know what's going on, which is interesting. If you think in the way like you're processing information, you could even say that it's a mechanism to kind of fight off interruption.
Yeah, you
Because
said that about the German.
About the German, yeah, that's why
Yeah.
it's occurred to me now. As you can see, I don't have this scripted, but
Right, it's really interesting.
but yeah, you can also view it in that way, right? Because
Yeah.
you're getting like with him at the restaurant, and then you know
We killed.
if it's
or something.
yeah, right. Me, eat,
Yeah.
dance, you know. All right. All right. In the same sentence, informally, my friends will eat something at the Arabian restaurant.
友達、アラビアのレストランで何か食べる。
Good. 友達お友達はアラビアのレストランで何か食べる. Although it's not especially common, as I mentioned, to include so much information in a Japanese sentence, no, some of that information is likely to be known already out there in the shared context bubble and not the main point of the sentence. But if we contain all the elements, that's the most natural word order. The person, tomodachi wa, the where, Arabia no restaurante, and then the verb with its object, nanika taberu. If we include the word for tomorrow, ashita, that will come first. So give me that. My friends will eat something at the Arabian restaurant tomorrow.
明日、友達はアラビアのレストランで何か食べる。
Very good. 友達はアラビアのレストランで何か食べる or 何か食べます. Very good. So as long as we keep the verb at the end, the rest is super flexible. We can pull out elements from the natural word order to stress them and accompany that with our voice. And observe natives to see how they do that. Again, it's something that will really change depending on the dialect and the individual, on right. the dialect and the idiolect, right? How the individual speaks.
Is that a real word? Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of my favourite words because we have our individual dialects. And
what was the word again?
Idiolect.
An idiolect.
Yeah. Or maybe an idiolect. I never know if I'm pronouncing these words properly because I'm too working class for this shit. All right, number 13. Party is party in Japanese. We have two long vowels. Party.
Party.
So we could ask, will you meet with your friend at the party? Do you remember what the word for with or the particle for with was? It's also like it's also the same as our spoken quotation mark.
Yes. To.
To, good. So,
right.
Will you meet your friend at the party?
So I'm going to start with tomodachi to party de. Ao, if I'm being casual, or
Formally.
aimasu ka.
Tomodachi to party de aimasu ka? Good.
Yeah.
So aimasu is to meet, but informally it is?
Ao.
Ao, good. Will we meet at her party, including her now, for whatever reason? So, what was the word for she?
Kanojo.
Good. So, will we meet at her party?
Will we meet at her party? Kanojo no party de aimasu ka?
Informally?
Kanojo no party de ao.
So we've seen a few verbs now, words that go with to in English. To eat, tabemasu, or more informally taberu. To drink, nomimasu, or more informally nomu. Aimasu to me, and more informally ao. We might have this complication of having a plain and a formal version of verbs in Japanese, but in other ways, Japanese verbs are very simple. We've seen already how the verbs don't change depending on who they refer to, and also how we don't need a separate future tense to talk about the future. Languages are like this generally, complicated only in the areas they deem important, and we know that Japanese is concerned about levels of respect and maintaining honour. So we don't need to learn future forms or different verb forms depending on the grammatical person, but we do need to know both the formal and informal versions of any verb that we want to know, no? So every time we learn a new verb, we want to try and find the other version, the formal or informal one, depending on the one that we've come across. Where was the word for where?
Doko.
Doko. And somewhere is?
Somewhere was dokoka.
Dokoka, good. Are you going to eat somewhere? Are you going to eat somewhere?
Dokoka tabemasu ka? Dokoka de tabemasu ka?
Good, but I said gonna. Is that how you'd speak to your elders? Are you gonna eat somewhere?
Yeah, man.
So a little prompt for the informal.
Informally would be dokoka de taberu.
Good, very good. Doko ka de taberu. So we always have two forms of a verb that we will switch between in different circumstances, no? Taberu between friends, tabemasu for more formality. Nomu between friends, nomimasu for formality or politeness, no? We've been learning these forms as separate vocabulary items, but actually we can reliably find the formal mas version from the u version, the formal from the informal. There's two different ways to do this, depending on the verb type, and we can think of all verbs as belonging either to the taberu group or to the normal group. So let's start with the normal group, which is where most verbs belong. How is it that we get nomimas from normal? Well, we remove our u ending, our u ending from normal, and we replace it with imas, and we have the formal. Normal, nomimas. So if read, for example, is yomu, so if to read, for example, is yomu, what is the formal mas form of the verb?
Yomimasu.
Yomimasu, good. Normal, nomimasu, yomu, yomimasu. Do you read or do you want to read? It could be in context now, formally.
Yomimasu ka?
Yomimasu ka? What do you want to read?
Nani o nomimasu ka?
That was drink.
What did I... Nani o yomimasu ka?
Good. Nani o yomimasu ka?
Nani o yomimasu ka?
So this sentence literally means what do you read, but in the right context now can mean what will you read or even what do you want to read. Do you want to read something? And informally now, back to the informal form of yomimasu. Do you want to read something?
Something is...
Nani is what?
Nani.
Nani is what? And
Is what?
so some,
Oh yeah, nani ka. I was thinking of the dore, kore, sore. Okay, yeah.
that means you haven't let that go entirely.
Is that what it is?
Usually.
I'm still clinging onto it.
It can be somewhere in your subconscious, like you feel
Yeah.
like you don't want to forget it. And all you have to remember is the patterns are out there.
Yeah.
The truth is out there. The patterns are out there for you to find
Let it
time
go.
and again.
All right. So the sentence is
Do you want to read
Do I
something?
want to read
Informally.
nani ka yomu?
Nani ka yomu?
Nani ka yomu?
The bus was
Basu or the bus.
either.
Sono basu.
So basu is bus or the bus.
Yeah.
Sonu basu is only in those circumstances where we kind of really feel like we need to say the or we're not getting the meaning across. Then we'd say sono bus.
Right.
Sono basu. But otherwise, basu is enough for bus or the bus.
Okay.
What do you read on the bus? So here we're not going to use sono because I don't mean on that bus you
Sure,
mentioned,
yeah,
on that
okay.
specific bus, right?
Yeah.
What do you read on the bus? Informally still.
So I'm going to start with. Could I start with basu there on the bus?
Yeah, that would be the most natural.
Yeah. Okay.
'Cause to keep the nani with the verb.
Yeah. So basu there. Nani ka or yomimasu ka?
Okay, but think a little bit more. That was a good sentence, but it wasn't the sentence. So, what do you read on the bus? Informally. Informally.
Okay.
What do you read on the bus?
Basu there. Nani ka?
So, nanika is something. What is what? So, a good way to help you, because I can see in your eyes that there's some debris, right, from stuff
Yeah.
we've been doing. It accumulates in the eyes, right?
Does it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Okay.
So a good way to let that go is just to have more focus on the sentence at hand. The more you can focus on the current thought, it will help you leave everything else behind, which is what we want to do, right? Because it's never about memorizing items, just building the neural pathways from processing all of this.
That's a difficult thing to do. I totally get what you're saying.
It's a massive personality thing. You have a good personality for it because you're very chill. I wrote in the book, I joke in the book about the difference between Brazilians and Argentines doing this.
Oh, really?
Because Argentines are quite historically uptight and Brazilians are famously relaxed.
Right, oh my God.
So I like telling an Argentine to relax. It's like, how do I relax? How do I do that? I'm not doing it properly. I'm not relaxing properly. And then you have a Brazilian and they just put their feet on the table. Like,
so
relax.
Funny.
Back, feet on the table, and I'm like, perfect student.
Yeah.
Smoothest class ever.
That's so funny, man.
Yeah, it's.
You were saying just let it go, and I'm absorbing everything you're saying, whilst also there's a part of me thinking, but what's the word though? And I still can't let go of trying to remember.
So the good thing to help you have faith in yourself to be able to let go more is just to remember that anything that you're not certain of, and there's always going to be things you're not certain of, you're going to have another opportunity to think about it.
Sure.
At the moment, you just want to think about the thought at hand, as you will be doing when you're communicating in Japanese, right? So when you want to communicate in Japanese, you can only think about the thing you want to say in the moment, and it's going to make you think about other things in the language. It's going to remind you of stuff you're doubtful about. But all of that will have its time because you're going to have you're going to say a sentence where you're going to have to address that directly, and then it's a bit like disciplining your mind as well, right? From the things that want to be distracted. But the more you do that, the more focused, communicative power you have and ability to sort all technical problems out that you have in the language as they come up.
Sure. Okay.
So fresh, what do you read on the bus? And I just want you to think about the thing you need to say in the moment and then forget it. So what is the first bit on...
Bus de Nani? Yomu? That was it?
Yeah. Basu de nani yomu, basu de nani o yomu. And formally?
Basu de nani o yomimasu ka?
Good. Basu de nani o yomimasu ka? Basu de nani yomimasu ka? Of course, o is still expendable in informal sentences as well. So we can also get a mono noun here, by the way, from yomimasu, just like we have nomimasu to drink and nomimono beverage, tabemasu to eat, tabemono food. By changing mas to mono, we got nouns there. So we can do that also with yomimasu. Firstly, how is that going to sound?
Yomimono.
Yomimono, which means reading material. So how would you say it's good reading material or it's a good read formally?
I yomimono desu.
Good. I yomimono desu. Or you might say I yomimono desu yo. Even though we might not mean to be especially emphatic, with such sentences where we're declaring how we feel about things, we might find it's common to include yo, because Japanese can consider such opinionated declarations kind of emphatic in themselves. I would say it's good reading material, if you were like suggesting it, for example. Right. So in that sense, we can see how yo, even though it's a spoken exclamation mark, might actually soften a sentence rather than making it sound more emphatic, because it's like a recognition that we're saying something emphatic. And that recognition can help it land a little softer. So I yomimono desu yo might actually land softer than I yomimono desu.
Right.
A bit like if you were to say, it's a good read, if you don't mind me saying.
Right, okay.
There yo might have a little bit of that function of, if you don't mind me saying.
Right, okay.
I'm recognising that
Yeah, and that's all just in yo.
Right. Kao, K-A-U, is to buy, kao.
Kao.
Is that formal or informal?
Informal.
Informal. No, it doesn't end mas, ends with an u. So kao also belongs to the normal group of verbs. So to find the mas form, again, we do what we did with nomu and yomu to get nomimas and yomimas. So do you want to give that a try? Kao will become?
Kaimasu.
Kaimasu. Good. Here the pronunciation changes a little when the A and the I come together. Now rather than kaimasu, kaimasu. Good. What will you buy at the hotel? Formally with kaimasu. What will you buy at the hotel?
Nani wa? Oh, at the hotel, I'll start there. Hoteru de nani o kaimasu ka?
Good. Hoteru de nani o kaimasu ka? Good. Hoteru de nani o kaimasu ka? What will you buy at the hotel? We can get a noun from this mas verb too, from kaimasu. So how would that noun be?
Kaimono.
Kaimono. And this means shopping as a noun or purchase. Now, like the shopping as a noun or the purchase. So you could say it's a good purchase, formally again.
I kaimono desu.
Good. I kaimono desu. And depending on the context, you could add some emphasis to that, or you could also soften this sentence, using
I kaimono desu yo.
Yeah, so that would just depend on the intonation of what you're doing, no?
Yeah.
So if you're like, just encouraging and putting extra exclamation, ikaimono desu yo, no? But maybe with another tone, ikaimono desu yo,
Right.
no?
Okay.
So we can move between different forms and types of word, noticing all kinds of patterns in the language, whether it's from verbs to nouns, like in nomimasu, nomimono, yomimasu, yomimono, kaimasu, kaimono, or from our informal verb to our formal one, nomu, nomimasu, yomu, yomimasu, kau, kaimasu, or whether it's a pattern like kono, sono, dono, koko, soko, doko. We don't have to try to memorize these patterns because they're out there in the Japanese we expose ourselves to for us to notice them time and again if we forget them. So we just have to be aware of the usefulness of such patterns and always be on the lookout for them. In this way, we're free to see and notice and be reminded until we remember, undistracted by conscious memorization and worries about forgetting. Track 14. So we've seen an important pattern for finding mass verbs from our informal casual versions. If the verb belongs to the normal group of verbs, we replace the final u with imasu. Nomu, nomimasu. Yomu, read, yomimasu. Kau, buy, kaimasu. We've also seen to meet, au, au, and aimasu, no? Which also follows the same pattern. Will they meet somewhere, informally? Will they meet somewhere?
Doko de ao.
So that'd be where will they meet? Doko de ao. But will they meet somewhere?
Doko ka. Doko ka de ao.
Doko ka de ao. They will meet at the office. Office is ofisu.
Of course it is.
They will meet at the office.
Ofisu de ao.
Good. Ofisu de ao. Will they meet at the office? Now, a question and make it formal. Will they meet at the office?
Ofisu de aimasu ka?
Good. Ofisu de aimasu ka? Kaku means to write. Kaku. And so the formal verb is?
Kakimasu.
Kakimasu. I write reading material. Formally. I write reading material.
Yomimono o kakimasu.
Good. Yomimono o kakimasu. So removing you and adding imas is our main pattern for finding the mass verb. Now the mass form, the formal form from the informal. It works for verbs in the normal group that have the removable ending you, which is actually most verbs in Japanese. But we also have another smaller group of verbs, the taberu group, where the ending we remove is actually you. And we replace that ru with mas rather than imas. So, taberu, tabemasu. No? So all regular verbs will fall into one of these two groups. They will either behave like nomu or like taberu. Akeru means to open something. Akeru.
Akeru.
Which belongs to the taberu group of verbs. And so we will find the formal form by removing the final ru and replacing it with mas. Taberu, tabemasu. Akeru,
Akemasu.
akemasu. The door, or a door in Japanese, is doa.
Doa.
Again, this is an imported word. And I like this one because the o-a is kind of imitating the long door, doa, but in a certain accent, no? Doa. So they will open the door, formally speaking.
Doa o akemasu.
Good. Doa o akemasu. And informally?
Doa o aku. Was it aku?
That would be, if it were aku, it would be a normal verb.
Oh.
But this was a taberu verb.
Akeru.
Good.
Doa o akeru.
Doa o akeru. Doa akeru.
O akeru.
So doa is an English-Japanese word, now an imported word, and refers to more Western uses of doors, like having a Western-style front door on your house, not very traditionally Japanese, no? So that's doa. Or a revolving door, for example. Right. Those are doa, rather than tobira, which is what we use for Japanese-style doors, like sliding doors and big temple doors, or even traditional gates, tobira. So modern Japanese is studied with surprising loanwords like doa, precisely because modern Japan is studied with Western technology and culture, but so is much of the world, and Japanese is probably one of the only countries to have imported words like doa and garasu, right, from English. As we've seen though, Japanese exhibits a fascinating mix of liberalism and conservatism in how it enjoys and integrates from other cultures, but at the same time makes extensive efforts to remember what things are not native. In fact, not only does Japanese import words like door and glass, but also writes them in katakana rather than hiragana and kanji, rather than the hiragana and kanji used for native words. So Japanese even has an alternative script to write these foreign words in. So whilst Japan is very open and eager to borrow from other cultures, allowing the Japanese to bask in cultural exchange, it also makes quite the effort at conserving the host culture, using the language in this way to do so. Japanese culture, in more ways than one, demonstrates how conservative and liberal values can coexist. So we have a great deal of words in Japanese from English, some of which are very useful, and many of which we may not even realise straight away that they're from English. For example, biru is very clearly related to the English beer, but biru, with the short vowel, is much less obviously related to the English word building. But it is. It actually comes from build, and is a very common word used to describe Western-style buildings like high-rises, blocks of flats and office blocks. Biru, a build. A more generic general name for buildings in Japanese would be tatemono. Tatemono.
Tatemono.
Which means you can easily give me the formal mass verb for to build.
Tatemasu.
Tatemasu, good. So tatemasu we can tell belongs to the same verb group as taberu because formal verbs in the normal group always end imasu, no? So tatemasu we know is like taberu. So what do you think the informal version of tatemasu to build might be? We can work backwards from tatemasu. So tabemasu, taberu, tatemasu,
Tateru.
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 They will build a high-rise. They will build a high-rise. So a high-rise is the kind of building now we refer to with biru.
Biru or tateru.
Biru or tateru. Biru tateru. So biru is from build, and similarly we have apato. Apato, which might mean?
Apartment.
Apartment. Interestingly, Japanese has identified the grammatical bits of the English words, like in building and meant in apartment, and left them out. Building, biru, apartment, apato. They will build some apartments. They will build some apartments. Informally still.
Apato or tateru.
And formally, they will build some apartments.
Apato or tatemasu.
Good. Apato or tatemasu. Good. We have a long vowel, of course, in apato.
Apato or
You were doing it well, I just thought I should mention it. So, tateru to build, akeru to open, they are in the taberu group. To find the formal version, we replace ru with mas. To sleep is neru, again ending like akeru, tateru, taberu, meaning we have another taberu verb. So the formal mass version of to sleep, neru, is?
Nemasu.
Nemasu. I'll sleep on the bus.
Basu de nemasu.
Basu de nemasu. Manager is another word imported into Japanese, presumably along with certain Western business structures. How do you think it might sound in Japanese? Give it a go, manager.
Manager. Manager.
It's actually got two long vowels, so it's manager.
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 So you can tell sometimes when these words have been imported with American accents, no? Or at least it seems that way to me, no?
Yeah.
Like manager.
Manager.
My manager sleeps at the office. Formally still. My manager sleeps at the office.
オフィスでマネージャーは眠る。No, what was sleep? Sorry,
So we want formal version,
Oh.
and then the informal was neru, and it's a taberu verb,
寝ります。
and it's a taberu verb. So we're removing the final ru.
寝る becomes 寝ます。
So my manager sleeps at the office from the beginning.
オフィスでマネージャーは寝ます。寝ます。
So remember that part of the reason that Japanese word order is so flexible is because the particles are telling you what's going on.
Yeah.
So you're not going to change the particle because you change the position. So you made a less natural word order.
Yeah.
It was more emphasizing either office or manager depending on what you did with your voice because you broke the normal word order. The normal word order would be putting manager first.
Right, okay.
Right? But it was acceptable what you did. It'd just be emphasizing something else. But also when you did this then you became confused about whether it's wa or no.
It just felt strange.
Right, but that's things will feel strange because there are different ways of ordering your thoughts, right? So it's useful to understand that the reason we have all of that flexibility is precisely because the particles let us know what stuff's doing. So just because you move the position of something doesn't mean now that maneja goes with o. Just because it's next to the verb now. It's still maneja wa.
Okay, right. So ideally, I would have said マネージャーはオフィスで寝ます。
That would be the most neutral, right? Manager wa office de nemas. Or you could also add yo if you're exclaiming about it, as you might be, rather than just informing someone that your manager sleeps in the office. No, you might be exclaiming manager wa office de nemas yo. Now give me the same sentence informally.
Informally.
So my manager sleeps at the office informally now.
マネージャー This is informally now. マネージャーオフィスで寝る。
Very good. Manager office de neru. Or manager wa office de neru. Oh, we could have yo there as well if you wanted to be emphatic.
Yeah,
well done.
Yeah.
So we're less likely to have the expendable particle wa now in the informal sentence, but of course you might still want to include it. Being expendable, when we use wa, it's either about adding emphasis or just adding form, as we might tend to in more formal sentences. But we might also want to add form in informal sentences too. As we saw, formality is a spectrum, and so we might be in an informal atmosphere like a party, for example, where we would be expected to use informal verbs, but still we might be speaking to someone we don't know and want to hit the right nuance of informal and not over casual.
Right.
No, so in that case we might, add a little bit more form using wa, even though we're sticking with informal verbs. Maneja wa ofisu de neru. Very good. All right, last track.
All right.
Number 15. So we've seen how we have two verb groups in Japanese that behave slightly differently. We have the normal group where we replace the final you with imas to find the formal form, nomu, nomimasu, yomu, yomimasu. And then the taberu group where we replace the final ru with mas to get the formal verb, taberu, tabemasu. Verbs ending eru belong to the taberu group. Tateru, to build, neru, to sleep, akeru, to open, they all end eru. But also those verbs ending iru belong to this group. So for example, to watch or to look is miru, miru.
Miru.
What will you watch, or what do you watch, or even want to watch in the right context? Informally with miru.
何を見る?
Nani o miru? He will watch something at the office. He will watch something at the office.
彼はオフィスで何を見る?
Something at the office.
何か.
Good.
Yeah.
彼は, if you include that, オフィスで何か見る. Good. So miru ends u, like all informal verbs, but we should also notice it ends I are you rather than just you, no, meaning that it's in the taberu group. For the formal version of miru, then, we will replace ru with mas. So miru becomes?
Mimas.
Mimas. Good. Do you want to watch something formally using mimas?
Nanika mimaska.
Nanika mimasu ka?
Yeah.
Good. Television is terebi, terebi.
Terebi.
So again, Japanese seems to have detected the grammatical part of the English noun, the ending sion, television, shun, and removed it. Television, terebi. And also there's no V sound really in Japanese, so we get a B there, terebi.
Terebi.
My manager watches television in the office. Formally still. My manager watches television in the office. So we want to think what comes first, all of our mental energy on saying that correctly, and then what comes next.
All right. So I'm going to start with the manager. Manager wa office de terebi o mimasu.
Very good. Manager wa office de terebi o mimasu. And maybe yo, if we want to be exclamatory there. So miru ends I-R-U, which puts it in the taberu group. Verbs ending E-R-U or I-R-U fall into this group. And to find their formal version, we take off the final ru and add mas. Taberu, tabemasu, miru, mimasu. A dress, or at least a Western style dress, is doresu, doresu.
Doresu.
Will you wear a dress to the party? To the party, we don't mean to here, really, do we? It's just where the wearing will happen. So we'll use?
De.
There. Good. So, will you wear a dress to the party? And to wear is kiru.
Kiru.
Kiru. Will you wear a dress to the party?
Party de doresu o kiru.
Very good. Party de doresu o kiru. Very good. And what is the formal form of kiru, which ending I-R-U also belongs to the taberu group, or what we might now call the taberu miru group, no? To include both those endings in it.
Kimasu.
Kimasu, miru mimasu, kiru kimasu. Very good. And we can actually get a mono noun from this verb too. So how would that be if we get a mono noun from kimasu?
Kimono.
Kimono. And of course, I think you know what that means, no? So that's where the word kimono, the very traditional Japanese dress, comes from, the worn thing, no? So again, for Western dresses, we have doresu, and for this traditional Japanese dress, we have kimono, coming from the verb to wear, kimasu. Will you wear a kimono to the party informally?
Party de kimono o kimasu ka.
Informally.
Informally. Party de kimono o kiru.
Good. Party de kimono kiru or party de kimono kiru. So all regular verbs fall into one of these two groups, where the ending is you, like in nomu, or where the ending is iru or iru, like in taberu or miru. Give me the same sentence formally. Will you wear a kimono to the party?
Party de kimono o.
It's very easy to go from kimono also to the mas verb, no?
Si. Si.
Do you know me from the Spanish course, Lee?
Si. Por supuesto. All right, let me start that again. Will you wear a kimono to the party? Party de kimono o kimasu ka?
Yeah. Party de kimono kimasu ka, or just kimono kimasu ka. So, ka, being about adding form, is actually also expendable in formal sentences too. We can just use our tone to make the question in formal sentences with mas verbs, again finding another spot on our formality spectrum. A little less formal than using ka, but still using the formal verb. Only when we do that, the silent U on the end of mas forms will come out. So Japanese is a syllabary. The symbols tend to represent syllables. So whilst mas is written ma-su, it's generally pronounced mas, no? But the silent u of su will come out with the intonation of a question. The same goes for des, which is written de su, no? But we don't pronounce that final u. But if we add question intonation instead of using ka, we will hear masu, desu. So, will you wear a kimono to the party? Formally, but without ka.
パーティーで買い物来ます
I think that would be grammatically correct somehow, but you'd say, will you wear a purchase to the party? Which is kaimono, no? Kaimono is purchase.
Oh, God.
But the bit you had to think about was correct. Kimasu.
Okay.
No? So that's another kind of tender spot on our spectrum of formality, right?
Sure.
Less formal than using ka, but we are still using a formal verb.
Right, okay.
No? So that might be in a situation where we're expected to use formal verbs, but to be all, very proper would be a bit too much. You're trying to, make people feel comfortable or be welcoming. Okay. For example, then maybe you would choose that. Again, stuff that you need to observe in real life.
Fascinating.
On
There's
the
so
go.
much to consider. It's incredible.
Yeah, but it's also just knowing about it consciously and being interested in it helps you process the great majority of this kind of stuff subconsciously because you will feel pulled to say things in a certain way. So that's why my emphasis is very much on, isn't this interesting? Observe it, but don't get obsessed trying to work out this spectrum of formality in your head and have it all kind of because life isn't like that. Do you know what I mean? Social contexts aren't like that. So just being aware that this happens and then looking out for it. And then even you will notice yourself saying things in a different way once you get conversational and speaking. And you'll have to even analyze yourself. Oh, why did I say it like that? Oh, wow, my brain moved the order around there. Or,
Yeah.
So, will you wear a kimono to the party, formally without ka?
パーティーで着物着ます
Kimasu.
着ます
Good. So the all will come out when you make the question, and it takes the stress as well, so it really comes out. Party de kimono kimasu. Now, will you sleep here? Will you sleep here? Again, formally with a formal verb, but without ka.
ここで寝ます
Koko de nemasu.
寝ます
Koko de nemasu.
ここで寝ます
And more vowel.
寝ます
Good. Koko de nemasu. And like I mentioned, des is also written with the symbols for de and su, only that the final u tends to be silent. No, we say des. But when we make a question without ka, the all there will come out with our questioning intonation. So if you want to say, is it that kimono, or the kimono we mentioned, is it that kimono? How would you say that?
この着物です
That would be this kimono, but that one?
その着物です
Good. Sono kimono desu. Sono kimono desu.
その着物です
Is it hers? Is it hers?
彼女のです
Again?
彼女のです
Good. But it doesn't sound like a question if you just say des.
Of course. So, 彼女のです
Good. Kanojo no desu. Good. But if we use ka,
彼女のですか
good. Kanojo no desu ka.
I can say it however I want because ka means
Exactly. You don't have to put the intonation when you have ka. You can, but ka removes us of the obligation of using intonation, which is also a mechanism to help us be more formal, right? Because the more intonation you use, the less formal you will sound. So ka gives us, you can use information with ka, but you don't have to. Intonation. Yeah. But if you're not going to use ka, then it's very important, right? And like I say, it's so strong in the case with in the formal verbs, the silent u on the end, no, which we didn't know was there until now.
Yeah.
Oh, I may have mentioned it. Now comes out.
Right.
To understand is wakaru, to understand.
Wakaru.
Do you understand?
Wakaru?
Wakaru. Or you could be very abrasive using ka with the informal sentence. No, this might sound like you're telling someone off.
Wakaru ka?
Yeah, like, do you understand, you idiot? Wakaru ka? Or, depending on the context, no? So we don't usually use ka with informal verbs, but we can, and we can make them sound much more abrasive.
Right.
So wakaru means understand. What verb type is wakaru? Is it a normal verb or a taberu miru verb?
So we're ending in A-R-U. Wakaru. So it just ends in lu. So it's a nomu type.
Very good.
Is that right?
Yeah, this was a bit of a trick question, right?
You're
Because
trying to catch me
of
out.
course I was. So aru, it looks like, if we're not paying attention, it looks like taberu miru verb, but no. It has to end E-R-U or I-R-U to be a taberu miru verb. Wakaru doesn't. We have an R there, so if we don't really look, we might just go taberu verb, but it's not. The ending is aru, it's not iru or iru or eru. So it's just a normal verb.
Right.
It's just a normal verb. It doesn't matter that it ends RU. So wakaru, if we want to make that formal, it's going to behave just like normal.
Yeah. Wakarimasu.
Wakarimasu. Do you understand formally?
Wakarimasu ka?
Wakarimasu ka? And slightly less formally?
Wakarimasu?
Wakarimasu? Well done. And well done.
Yes.
That's it. Bravo.
All right.
Whew.
Nailed it.
Thank you, man.
I always